What if you were to listen to an internationally acclaimed, multi-award-winning illusionist, and he had something far more to say than, "Watch this trick"? Rick Thomas is that performer, ready to go far beyond his magic and far beyond your imagination as he shares secrets regarding our dreams. Dreams that can become reality. The future belongs to those who believe in the strength of their dreams. Dreams pass into the reality of action. From the action stems the dream again. And this interdependence produces the highest form of living. Join Rick and his co-host, award-winning broadcaster Tammy Trujillo, for Nothing Happens Until You Dream. Indulge your mind and take a journey never to be forgotten. A journey connecting all of our dreams as we chase them together.
Rick, a little birdie told me that you did some branch trimming this weekend. What aren't you supposed to be kind of on R&R still?
Yeah. What kind of bird was it? It's been a few weeks now for those that have been listening and know a bit about Rick Thomas, whether they're listening to me on the radio and I shout it out across the world, or I'm saying it here on the podcast. I had prostate surgery and everything is clear, but it took a lot longer than I thought to get back into the swing of things. And yesterday, after a few weeks, I actually went out and I cut a few branches down. My neighbor complained that my tree limbs were leaning over the top of his truck when he parks in his driveway. So he said, "Could you cut those down?" And once I started, my problem was I started cutting one tree, then two trees. But I did get my family out there. My son is here from Las Vegas.
Okay.
And he and Tara and even Preston, little guy, 7 years old, we took the big branches and drug them through the backyard and put them out back behind the home. Our home leads into an empty, beautiful field that looks down on the lake. And we're able to take these branches and put them in this empty field because they're just going to go back to, but a great place to put them. I didn't have to chop them up. Right?
Yeah.
It was great to see the little guy, 7 years old, trying to drag a big branch.
He's trying to help out.
That was my joy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something else that was a lot of fun. These are the little things in life that actually you find a joy. And I hope that sometimes those little things will help us get through the day. I know that, Tammy, I don't even think you want to talk about your last week.
No.
You are massively exhausted.
Yeah.
And it hits you pretty hard.
There's a tipping point for all of us. And sometimes we think we're Superman. And then physically your body says, excuse me, no. And that's kind of what happened. Yeah, just
enough of that. Right?
Yeah, no, not enough time, not enough sleep, not enough anything. Yeah, tough stuff.
But I was still trying to recuperate. I was actually trying to do a bit of work and not bother anybody. And I snuck out of my room and I went to a guest room about 6 a.m. in the morning. And I'm reading the news. And next thing I know, Tara comes walking in the room. She crawls up on the bed and she lays down. And 30 seconds later, Preston, he walks up, crawls onto the bed, and he lays down. He curls into Tara. And about 30 seconds after that, Loki, our little cat, he jumped up on the bed and he curled into Preston. And I laughed so hard. It was a monumental moment that the entire family had to follow me into that room.
Well, they all got the right idea. Let's just hang out. Oof, I love it. I
lost it with the cat. Come on, you are the massive animal lover you are.
Yes.
You've got to have amazing stories.
Yes.
There's a reason why you embrace the animals, but there are also reasons beyond that, just because of what they do and moments that make you say it's all worth it.
Well, he's part of the family. So he's like, hey, this is what we're doing this morning. All right, I'm cool. That's right down his alley, really. They know. They're very aware of everything that goes on. And that's something I keep trying to get people to understand is, especially with cats, they don't do a lot. They kind of hang out and watch all the time, but that's just the point. They're hanging out and watching all the time. They're very aware of every single thing that's going on. And they make sense of a lot of it. So if your cat is watching you right now, your cat is not just idly staring at you. He is thinking, what are you doing? Why are you doing that?
But they really stare at you.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon and I were having lunch just yesterday, and Loki's sitting in the living room, and he's sitting like a sphinx kind of cat, right? He's sitting there, and he's just looking at us.
Oh, yeah, they stare right through you.
Brandon looks and goes, what are you looking at? And the cat doesn't move. He just keeps staring. I go, I have no idea what's going through that cat's head.
I actually have a friend who is a pet psychic. And she is amazing. She is absolutely amazing. She's in Germany. And she can clue in and come up with very amazing things. And you might think, oh, that's a bunch of nonsense. But I've actually had her do it with one or two of my animals without her knowing a thing about my animal. Okay, she hasn't lived with them. She hasn't met them. She's all the way on the other side of the world, really. She's seen picture. And she's dialed in. Because otherwise she could not be saying, well, I think he's feeling like this because of this. And you're like, wait a minute, how'd you know that happened? What? There's a lot going on in those brains. And I still contend felines are aliens, but that's for another day.
Now, I'm going to tell you something as well. And I have to be careful with this because once again, I am fully aware of how much of a lover you are of animals.
Yes.
But I find sometimes people who are massive lover of animals forget that there's a human race out there.
Oh,
And
no, I know
they can be so into these animals that they forget that they themselves are human, right? And they have to communicate with the real world.
Yes.
I'm not saying that, but I've been around, I've raised tigers. I've been around people who their whole life is about these animals.
Oh, yeah, there's
And
some
they
people
are
that do that.
an intriguing, interesting group of individuals.
Oh, yeah. They a lot of people that I do know, they have kind of checked out of the human race and joined the animal race. And, sometimes I get it. I really do. There's a lot more peace around animals than with humans sometimes. So I do get it. No, you've got to have a foot in both worlds or you're kind of slipping and sliding all over the place. Yeah.
Either way, thank you for being here today, Tammy.
Well,
I
sure,
appreciate it. Your
sure.
time is far spent, and let's get on with trying to inspire and do everything we can to give something of great worth in this podcast today.
Well, the chapter we're looking at is 53, and the title is Beyond the Magic. That popped out at me because people don't know what else you do. You do a lot of other things.
I've had a couple people actually share with me this chapter and saying that they had a problem with what I called it, Beyond the Magic. I've been presenting magic. It has been my life since I was a child. It is who I am. It is always what I've been. I am an illusionist. I live and breathe the world of magic and entertainment. And for me, because it's my profession, my life, I sometimes look beyond my magic, hoping, wishing, and praying I'm doing something else as well. And one of my dear friends, he said, Rick, he says, it's hard for us to understand this chapter because we want to be part of the magic.
Yeah.
We don't want to go beyond your magic. We want to be part of it.
Well, it's enviable. Yeah. Performers, who doesn't want to be a celebrity? Who doesn't want to do something super special?
So maybe the title is slightly wrong, but that's very personal. So as you understand that, I am going to talk about going beyond my magic, but how you can be part of my life as well as we go beyond my magic together in many ways.
Everybody I know who is really successful, they have other things going on. You have to. And I think I learned this very early in entertainment, very early, thank goodness. And I can't even remember who enlightened me, but it was early on. And this person said to me, multiple streams of income. That's what they said. They said the way to survive in this industry, anything entertainment, and probably anything really, is to have multiple streams of income. And they said, meaning that if the main thing falls apart, because things do happen, you can still cover what that person said called the gotta pays. The mortgage, the car, the utilities, get some food, that sort of thing, without going into a sheer panic, because not that many people have a big old stash in the bank.
And right now, there are many people actually going back to work because they've lost it all the last few years.
Yes.
And I'm not saying this against any I'm not trying to be political in this conversation.
no.
I'm just saying that people's lives, how expensive it is,
Oh.
it is challenged people, and they've had to step it up and do something else. I fall short on this as well. So what I'm going to lecture everybody about today are things that I too have to take serious. This year is going to be a big year for me. I believe in doing things I know that are beyond the magic. So when I share it with you, I'm going to give you things that I know. It's only a very short chapter, and we only have an hour with everybody, or even a little less. I'll do my very best to give you everything that I've got.
Okay. All right. So we know you on stage, illusionist, and you put a lot of your time off stage into illusions, into the magic, into the show. But
I've spent my life trading time for money.
Oh, yes.
That's what we all do. And we're not going to get paid unless we actually do something physically for it. This next season, I'm going out on tour again. I've got a tremendous amount of theaters across the country. I'm thrilled. I'm going to be out there in California, letting Tammy know now so she can be there and actually see the shows. And I have to actually present the show. So I'm actually bringing out a few other individuals to do things that I'm exhausted. I can't do the show and build the show and drive the trucks.
No.
I try to be everything that I can be.
However, there is no S on your chest either.
There is a saying I also love as well, and that is, it is better to have 1% of 100 people's time than 100% of your own.
Help me with that.
Well, that has to do with having a lot of people working with you on the same project. Now, when I have people going out on tour, I ask everybody to be there 100%. So I expect them to work really hard, but lives they're busy. And if you have a secondary form of income, and I'm going to share with you a few different ways that people are making money, the pros and cons I think that are in them. And one of those is there is an industry out there that is pretty big, and they call that direct sales. And that is where people have lives. They're extremely busy. They don't have much time for anything else other than just putting food on the table and taking care of their family. So when I say it's better to have 1% of 100 people's time than 100% of your own.
I gotcha.
If you had just 100 people out there and they're just giving you just a few minutes of their time and you're all working together on something, that is your salvation, because you can't do it alone. So that is a principle. That also goes in line with no man or woman is an island. You can't do it all yourself. You need people around you with their own exceptional talent that will inspire and aid you to create something grand and great. By the way, I'm going to throw this in right now as well. When you are working with someone or people that you find have a better handle on something that you don't quite understand, or they're better at doing something than you are, don't compete. Don't compete. Embrace.
Yeah, delegate. Let them have
You
it.
hear me?
Yep.
Please do not try to compete with everyone when you see a talent that they have that may be far superior to yours, because you are important and you have amazing things in your life that you can do as well. But if you spend your life competing against these individuals, it is the wrong route to go. Embrace them. Find a way to do things together and utilize both your talents.
What's that micromanage? It's that ability to let somebody else take control of something. That's hard to do. That is really hard.
Now, let me just briefly, since I brought up the word direct sales, that is where you are part of a company where you are either buying product together in groups and or individuals, and there is a chain of command, so to speak. And there are some people say, well, that's an industry that, people believe may be kind of shady. And let me tell you something that I want people to understand. One is you can get into the industry with virtually no money. If you don't have anything to invest, if you don't have $5,000, $10,000, $50,000 to put into real estate, there's a way to get involved. And if you want to work a little bit, you're going to, in some way or form, prosper. Now, I will tell you this. It's like every other industry. And I say this with heart and soul. There will always be people at the top. And there will always be people who are at the cash register. And I put it that way. I say there's going to be presidents, and there's going to be people that are just, I guess, there for the ride. And I can tell you this as a fact. The harder you work, the luckier you get. And I say that because I know that there are people out there that sometimes, and that's why I say you get 100% of 100 people's time. Sometimes you'll get that 1% from somebody, but it also gives you the opportunity to grow and succeed. You're your own president. You don't have employees. You don't have insurance. You don't have workman's compensation that you need to pay for.
Right.
You don't have a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
You have none of that.
Mm-hmm.
None of that. And you prosper from being part of that industry. But the problem is you're working with people.
And that's always a challenge. It's always
And the
a
people
challenge.
can falter.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say 20% of the people do 80% of the work, that is also the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at people and say, oh, there's always a few people at the top. And I say, that is every single business in the world. There is always a president. There is always a vice president. There are other individuals, and it goes down in what they want to call a pyramid, whatever it may be. But that is what corporate world is today. No matter where you look, no matter how you see it, there's somebody at the top and minions at the bottom. And everybody is scratching and clawing and trying to get to. In a normal business situation, if there are two people trying to fight for like vice president, they're going to do everything they can to beat each other up to get to that position.
And we're seeing that right now, yes.
And in that industry, the only way, what I appreciated is that the only way you can succeed is by helping others succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And if they succeed, you succeed as well. So in that scenario, there are pros and cons, of course, in all walks of life and all business, but it gives many people an opportunity to succeed where they otherwise might not have been able to do so with very little money down. Opportunity to work with people you want to work with, because you don't have to work with people who you don't like. And you work together. And I really believe that the only way that you succeed is by following our dreams together. And that's a great way to do it. So that's one way of doing a plan B beyond what you're doing and working for your time for money.
Well, some of it's passive income and money that comes in that you don't have to be 40 hours a week, 80 hours a week, whatever. Mm-hmm.
And you put your time into it, but it for years can give you residual that is spectacular.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's easy because nothing is easy.
Nothing's easy.
People want to pretend. They go, oh, you can do this, you can do that. Look at the money you can make this. So I just say be really secure with your thought process and realize that nothing is just given to you. And if an industry says, oh, if you just sign up a couple people or do this or that, it doesn't work that way. There is a lot of work involved, but there is a lot of opportunity beyond that for those that are struggling. Now, I know you're not asking me a lot of questions, but I'm on a roll. So let me tell you something.
And I'm listening.
Right now in our world, one of the industries that is actually collapsing is Airbnbs.
Oh, yes, they are.
Okay. You are in the news. You have to have it slightly crossing your desk just a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
But the real estate industry is, and with all their new regulations, it's going bonkers. Mm-hmm. And there are people out there saying that 50% of real estate agents are going to leave the business.
Ooh.
It's a challenge. And I'm not just trying to throw numbers out. I'm watching the news just like you are, whether it's ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN. I don't care what you're watching. It's out there. And right now they're saying the Airbnbs are empty, and
they are.
People are trying to hold on to these homes, and it's just going to flood the market with empty homes, and it's going to bring down what it does. It brings down the value of every home around it.
Right. Yeah. If a house sells for way less than it should in your neighborhood, everybody gets yanked down along with it. And people don't seem to realize that. But I have a friend who does kind of an Airbnb in her own home. And which I kind of have to scratch my head a little bit over, frankly, having strangers live in the spare bedroom.
Where does she go? Or does she stays there?
Oh, she stays there.
Okay.
But she has
so it's like a bed and breakfast.
Yeah. But with somebody that she's only met online, which, I have always kind of scratched my head going, I don't know about this. But she used to be booked up all the time. She has a Victorian home in downtown LA, so it's very attractive, very cool to be there. She used to be booked up all the time, booked out, months in advance. Not so much anymore. This whole thing, I think it was kind of a fad.
Yeah, I did too. I kind of felt it. I kind of felt, oh, this is, even last year I went down to some races down in Florida, the car races, and we all stayed at an Airbnb, a whole bunch of guys. I mean, like
oh, cool.
10 of us in a 15-room crazy house.
Wow.
But I walked in, I go, how do they keep this thing busy? I can't imagine. I just can't imagine it. So it's out there. It's a challenge. And so that's another thing that, and I'm talking about people investing. If you want to invest in property, you may consider one, of course, that can always have a renter in it.
Right.
I have heard, and I'm going to be looking into it myself, the best way to get involved in buying property is to find a fourplex.
Okay.
Live in one of them and rent the other 3 out. And then after a year, rent all 4 of them out and then wash, rinse, and repeat.
Oh my goodness.
And those are types of places where you're there. You can keep an eye on it. I have other people who rent their homes, even across the street. I have a very dear friend who's in our industry. They rented their house out as they moved and invested in another home, and the renters thrashed the home.
Exactly. Yeah. That's always been my fear because I love buying homes. I love real estate. I love going and looking at homes. And I've thought, how cool would it be to like buy a small apartment building, have that income every month. But then you hear these horror stories or you see a horror story because you're letting somebody just take your very valuable property and deal with it for months and months without you seeing it.
Yes.
And you're hoping they're cool.
There are companies out there that will watch the homes for you, and you're going to pay them as well. So that your profits from the home may just go to the third party.
Right. Exactly.
But pros and cons. I mean, the moment you buy the home, there's equity that begins to build.
Yeah,
and,
it's real property.
If you can stay on top of it.
But that is a pitfall. And I'll tell you one of the other pitfalls with renting out homes, because we're dealing with this in our neighborhood right now. People in the neighborhood, if there's a house getting a lot of people in and out of it all the time, because they like to rent this place out for weekend parties and so forth, people in the neighborhood don't like that. I don't like that.
Right. Somebody else new coming in. They don't know them. Now they need to keep an eye on them. They're worried about riffraff. Or you come home. Aging terms I'm using.
I love these terms though. But I've come home and there's nowhere to park on my street for block because there's like 80 people down at this big house at their party. And my neighborhood, actually, we've put up signs basically saying we don't want you here. If you're coming here for your party or you're scouting this for a movie location, think again. Yeah. Because we've just been overrun by it. And the people don't even live in this house. They bought it to do exactly this. And so they've had to cut way back and really follow the law of 2 events a month. And I'm sure that's cutting into the money that they decided they would make off this, $1.6 million property. But we were like, okay, enough of this loud music at, 1 a.m. and light shows in the backyard and thousands of cars. And, so that's something else with these, interim rentals. You've got neighborhoods pushing back after they realized what the impact was. Yeah.
Now, this is not something we're not chatting about saying don't do this or don't do that.
No, but you got to look at the big picture.
I'm trying to say there's pros and cons. And so when I make decisions on what my plan Bs are or about what my residual income is, I think the best answer is diversification.
Yep. I agree with
nice
you 100%.
To have a property, see how you do with it. I do know that, the news even this morning, a guy was walking around the Florida area and he said, look at these homes, look at these apartments behind me. They bought them last year for $130,000. This year they're worth $100,000. They're going to lose $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 off of them. And they've tried to get people in them and keep them busy. And it's a difficult world. So sometimes you want to look at maybe something a little bit beyond that program, and that is having stable people who are going to rent from you and find somebody who you can trust. Good luck with that. Okay,
exactly.
So that's the business there. So you've got multi-marketing, which is direct sales, and pros and cons there. And I try to explain it's great to not. I mean, more than anything, I have a warehouse that holds all my grand illusions. I have to take care of that. I have to pay for those warehouses. I have employees. I have workman's comp. I have insurance I have to pay for the show. It goes on and on. And in that industry, you're responsible literally to one person, that's yourself. And everybody kind of gets to be their own president.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a whole bunch of presidents running around working with each other because it's your own business. And that's good too. It's important to have a business in some way or form to be able to write off these horrific taxes that we're all being challenged with as well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't, just beyond having a job and being paid by an employer, if you have a business on the side, that allows you to be creative with how you eliminate taxes by spending money in this other company and utilizing it for the business rather than the government taking it. So those are positive ways to go as well. I'm not trying to be conniving against our government, but we all know that the higher up you get in this world and the richer you are, the less taxes you seem to pay.
Yeah, it's a strange little anomaly, isn't it? Doesn't seem like it should be that way, but it is indeed.
Okay. So now let's talk about something like Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
You can invest in it and you know what? It's nice to have some of it and enjoy it and watch it. And I've always felt, and I do have Bitcoin, but I also felt that it doesn't really exist.
Oh, no, it doesn't.
It's like it's in the world of zeros and ones.
Yes.
Right. It's a fake world. And it's the same thing as investing in the markets. The moment that you put your money into the stock market, and it's taken me a long time to wrap my head around it. The moment it goes in my opinion, it kind of does not exist anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's just say you put $1,000 in stock. Okay, it goes in there and it says you have $1,000 in stock, but until you remove that money, you don't have that $1,000. And in fact, it can go down, it can go up,
Mm-hmm.
and there might be profits to be made, but it can go down as well. And until you pull it out, you don't know what you have. And it's feasibly possible for you to lose it. And I hate to use this word, lose it all. In the 80s, when we had the stock market crash,
I remember that.
Sadly,
Mm-hmm.
I had a dear friend who was a stockbroker.
Oh.
And when the crash occurred, he took his life.
Oh my gosh. I had
Yeah,
a friend who was a stockbroker too, and he didn't do that, but
No.
it ended his stockbroker career. He said, I can't do this anymore, but oh my God, that's horrible.
Yep.
Wow.
It shattered me. I was 17 years old.
Oh,
I
my
remember
goodness.
the moment it occurred. And when it was told to me, he left a family and
Oh, my
it
God.
shattered him. So please don't let me scare you as far as having this plan B, but get your act together and realize that this world is a little rough out there. And investing, once you put it in there, it's like, where does it go? They don't take your $1,000 and put it on a shelf somewhere and say, oh, well, there's Rick's $1,000.
No.
They've taken that money and put it in a computer system, and now it bounces to somebody else. Or it's kind of like watching. I loved it performing in Las Vegas and being around the casinos for so many years. When you sit there and watch, blackjack is kind of the easiest way to see it. You can see it in craps. You can see it. You don't kind of see it in the slot machines. It's kind of you against the slot machine.
Right, the machine.
But if you just, someone next time when you go to Vegas, sit there or any casino at the blackjack table and watch what happens with the dealer and the casino itself. They are the bank.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
They're the bank. And you have 7 people around the table and they put their money out, and the casino has a 1 or 2% advantage over you. Okay. Maybe up to 5% at times. So the profit margins in these casinos isn't as high as you think it truly is, but they're always winning. Okay. Because the odds are in their favor.
Yeah.
But when you're playing the game and everybody puts out, let's just say they're all putting out $5. Okay.
Okay.
And let's not just say that the bank won by winning a blackjack or whatever it was, and they won the whole table. Let's say they only won half the table. So let's say 2 or 3 people thought that the bank was going to bust, so they pull a card and they lose. So the bank takes their money. They don't leave the money on the table. Okay. They take their money immediately, put it in the bank.
Right.
Okay. And let's say 3 other people on the other side of the table actually won against the casino because maybe they had to hold on 17 or whatever it was. And they take that money that's sitting on the table, leave it there, and they take money out of the bank and give the money from the bank to the people on the right. Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
So what they have done is the bank has taken their percentage And they have turned around and they give the people on the table who lost, they take their money and they give it to the other people.
No, it's true. It's true. It's basically just switching around. Yeah.
Right. All the casino does is move money between the players.
Yeah. That's truly what they do.
Right. And they pull the money into the bank so you can't see that. You would see it if they left the money on the table and they took this guy's losses and took his money and put it over to the other person and then paid that person with people would go, hey, but you don't see it that way. But literally it is hilarious to realize that all they are is a bank and they're just shuttling everybody's money around.
A little bit kind of like sleight of hand, right?
Yeah, a little sleight of hand. But it is a great concept.
Yes.
And the art of gambling has been mastered. So don't try to there are people out there that try to beat it in some way or forms. They may, but for the most part, you're going to lose. So as far as the stock market goes, they take your money, you put it in the market, and then they give it to somebody else.
Yes. Yes. And you try like heck to get it back.
Until you pull it out.
And hopefully
so that's
it's
the stock market.
grown. Hopefully it's grown.
And then we finally have another form of, and I don't know if this is a plan B because you are working extremely hard to do so. You make your money, but instead of putting your money into those investments I've suggested, is you put it into gold and silver, precious metals.
Now, that's one of your big things.
Yes.
Because you've been doing this now, how many years? It's been a while.
Oh, since COVID, right before COVID.
Yeah. So good 6 years now.
And I am amazed when I step back and look back on that and realize what I have collected in precious metals. It is a good thing. It is an insurance policy.
Right.
We know that when you have gold or silver, it holds its worth unless our economy completely collapses. And actually right now, some of my gold recently I bought, it's about $2,000 an ounce for gold. It was like a year ago, right?
Right.
A year ago it was $2,000. This year it's about $2,700 an ounce.
Oh, that's nice.
And the reason is because of our inflation and the dollar being worth less. So the more the dollar goes down, the higher gold and silver goes up. If we had a spectacular, profitable dollar, gold and silver would be worth its weight in gold. Now that's a cliche, so to speak, but like silver right now is upwards of $30 an ounce. Much of the silver I purchased around $20 an ounce, and it's sitting high. It's that insurance policy against an economy that's collapsing. And no matter what, if the economy turns around and comes back, you still have your gold and silver. It may go down a little bit, but it holds its worth. It doesn't lose its actual worth compared to what we buy.
And I want to make it clear that we're not talking about jewelry here, okay? Because that's what people say, buying gold and silver. Because I like to wear jewelry. I have a lot of gold jewelry, and a lot of people said, "Oh, you're buying gold and silver like Rick," because they listen to the podcast. I said, "No, that's not it. That's not it. We're talking about gold and silver in its pure form."
Right, because if you had to turn around and sell that gold and silver during troubling times, that jewelry that you paid a premium price on is going to be paid back they're going to put it into a machine and it's going to balance it out and say, you have 10 ounces of gold.
Exactly. So, yeah.
That's what you get, right? And they'll melt it down and put it into big bricks or whatever they're going to do.
Yeah.
So my suggestion is to get some. If you don't hold it, you don't own it. So as far as the stock market, when you put your money in there, it kind of goes poof until you pull it back out.
So
when you buy gold, it's there. Now you got to find a place to put it. I don't suggest putting it under your mattress. There are plenty of places to hold on to it. You can get safes that you can put in your house as well as other things or ways. I chat with people all the time as to where to protect those particular assets. But if you've got it, it is definitely on a shelf that is sitting there and it is yours. And it's 100% worth its weight in gold.
You know, I know what some people are thinking right now. They're like, Rick, okay, if your gold has gone up $700 an ounce, why don't you cash out right now? Run away with that profit.
Okay, you could. And you know what? That's the great thing to have because people do cash it out. Gold is bought and sold all over this world constantly. The biggest people collecting gold are the rich, banks, and countries across the world. So you kind of follow what they're doing, and that is hoard it. Hoard it and hold on to it. Another thing, too, is not that it's difficult to sell your gold and silver. But once you have it,
Mm-hmm.
you don't want to give it up. You know how you always see those movies where the rich guy's sitting on a pile of gold and all he does is
Exactly.
count his gold every day.
Uh-huh.
Okay. It's one of those things where once you've bought it, it's easier to hold on to it than to spend it.
Hmm.
Okay. If you have cash in your pocket,
Mhm.
it's gone, right?
Oh gosh,
It's
yeah.
easy.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you buy this precious metal and you hold on to it and you realize I am actually gaining in great worth, you
Mhm.
kind of don't want to let it go.
Mhm.
So there you find other ways to spend your money, but you still hold on to those precious metals. Does that make sense as well?
It's
So if you're going to waste your
insurance.
money, you're going to find a way to do it. You'll pull
Mhm.
some money out of the bank, but at least you have that insurance policy.
Yeah, it's an insurance policy for when you need it. If you really, really, really got into dire straits,
Right.
you can cash that out and you
I can
have
pay
the money.
I can pay my house payment with
Mhm.
one gold coin.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah, you just like, here, flip them a coin. Here's a gold coin. I paid
Oh,
my
yeah.
house payment for a month.
I'd like to see that happen at the bank, you know?
Well, the bad part about it being with the banks is it's going to change. I know that the banks don't want, if you brought a brick of gold into the bank, they're going to say, what are we supposed to do with it?
Yeah.
They are the biggest collectors of gold right now.
Oh, it makes
The
sense.
banks are
Mhm.
hoarding it. They're holding on to it because it's giving them their stability, but they're pretending to the rest of the world they don't know what you're talking about. And the government doesn't want you to hold on to it as well.
Mhm.
They want your hard-earned cash. And when you have gold and silver and you've been collecting it, guess what they don't know you have?
Oh, that's true,
Gold
huh?
and silver. That's right.
It's true.
There are certain precious metals that you can collect,
Uh-huh.
purchase, and buy, and there are no responsibilities that the government know that you have it.
Mm-hmm.
That, and you know, I'm going to tell you this now in secret. Okay, the secret.
Okay.
I believe that is because there are politicians and those high up in our government who have a tremendous amount of gold and silver themselves, and they don't want anybody to know about it. So there's this little thing where once you know that if you buy like a Silver Eagle coin,
Mm-hmm.
you can buy 1, you can buy 10, you can buy 1,000, and the government doesn't need to know.
That's interesting to just think about that, because we don't really think about how much the government knows and doesn't know about us.
Uh-huh.
They know a lot.
Uh-huh.
And,
So isn't that a blast? So I've had a lot of fun with it. I've
Uh-huh.
enjoyed it. It has helped me mentally with my diversification. But that plan B is critical. There's not much out there after you retire.
Well, no, that's, and that's the thing. And so many people are delaying retirement because they're just not prepared for it. You know, so you do have to have a plan. You have to start having a plan. And I put it off for years and years and years, because I'm just going day by day, not looking down the road. But, the sooner you get a plan, the better off you're going to be.
Mm-hmm. Those people I find that succeed with that residual income.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few ways that I see it. And I'm sure that everybody can sit down and say, Rick, you've got part of it right or whatever, but I'm sharing with you today what I know. And to me, one of the most brilliant marketing and business strategies that you could possibly have in your life is to organize a team of people and work together as a team. I plead, even in my book, for us to follow our dreams, but not by ourselves. We got to follow those dreams together.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get a team of people together and you work for one particular scenario, you can succeed. That's business.
Mm-hmm.
That's business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But beyond that, those people that succeed also come up with something that the masses want.
Oh, yeah.
I think we're all trying to find that one thing to create and sell it to everybody and succeed because everybody wants it. And we got to find that one new item or that one new amazing new invention or whatever it is. That is another way to go as well. And sometimes it can be extremely easy. You don't always have to have a product. You can modify a product.
Right.
You can make a product better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Have I succeeded at that? No. That's why I'm telling you, plan Bs. Don't spend your entire life working to make money. you're going to have to work for it anyway, whether you set up the business, whatever it is. You can't expect something for nothing.
No.
But there should be a point that once you have put in your blood, sweat, and tears, that it begins to take off and it becomes its own monster beyond you. And that's when you can start sitting on top of that big pile of gold and silver and count your coins.
Because you'll have time to count your coins. Time. Yes, time. What a concept.
And can I give a quick shout out really quickly?
Of course.
Here? I know that you and I are trying to I'm going to tell right now that those listening, we are trying to figure out a way for my podcast to continue beyond my book. My book, thank you, Tammy, for embracing it and realizing that it can be a wonderful podcast.
Oh, yeah.
I think we have done that. But I want to thank everybody for how grateful I am that they've given their time to watch me. Because I also realize that time is critical. We cannot get it back. And when I talk about people working for money and they give time to do so, I'm working for what I make. It can be exhausting, but at the same time, you're giving of your time to sit there and be there in my presence as I present to you. And it is something of great worth. And I know those are 2 hours that you can't get back.
That's true.
And I give it everything I've got. And there's sometimes even in my cast, because I'm out on stage and I actually look at people in the audience, I get to see them. They laugh, they cry, whatever it may be, the expressions that they have, it is in my face. But I have a crew of individuals sometimes backstage who sometimes forget that we have an audience to entertain, and they live their lives mainly behind the curtain. And I have to tell them there's lights out there. There's an audience out there, and you are part of making their lives better. So I just want to give a shout out and thank everybody for embracing my show and being part of my live show. And by the way, my show starts again this next Saturday, now being off for a very long time. For me, that's 5 weeks. And I reopened my show in Missouri, and I'm thrilled.
I bet that first show back, or maybe even the first couple shows back, are going to be even more super than usual. Just
no,
because
they're going to actually be terrible.
Oh, really? You think?
Oh, I know, because,
Wait.
Okay, right now, I've begun to exercise again.
Okay, well, yeah.
Try to get my breath back.
Yeah.
But I move on stage.
Oh, yes,
and
I know.
I'm going to tell you, halfway through my first number, I'm going to stop and go, okay, I'm done. So I have to be very careful. So those first few shows for me, give me the third or fourth show and it'll be rocking my world again.
Because I was thinking you're going to go back just so happy to be there that you're going to just give it 180%.
Oh, I am. I am thrilled. So basically also telling you and talking to those individuals listening to the podcast today, I am not willing to give up my plan A at the moment. No. I am not willing to stop working for my money. I'm going to be out there and still do my live show. It is so difficult. You know, I do the radio show here in Branson on my 100.1, and opposite me in the mornings is another fine entertainer in Branson. His name is Clay Cooper, and he does the early morning show on our country station, our sister station. And we literally, he came in, gave me a hug and said, hey, it's good to see you up on your feet and well again. And our discussion led to, there comes a time in everybody's life when they have to decide on its retirement. Oof. And we as entertainers, it is so difficult. It is for anybody. It's difficult. But he just says, I don't know when I can do it. I can't even imagine what it's going to be when I finally say enough is enough. I'm performing at the Mickey Gilley Grand Shanghai Theater in Branson, and we lost Mickey Gilley last year, even slightly before that. And his last shows, he was performing on stage and he played the piano amazing. He had an amazing career. Anybody who doesn't know Mickey Gilley, go online and type up Mickey Gilley and find out who he was in the entertainment industry.
Huge.
Huge. And his final shows often were just a chair that he sat in front of the audience and didn't move, and attempted to sing and do his very best. And he just could not give up the love of his life, and that was live shows.
Well, it's important. A friend of mine just retired from news anchoring, and she's been on about as long as I have. And I just found that out just about a half hour before we went on to do the podcast. And I was like, wow, how weird is that? I started thinking, when am I going to do that? And honestly, I can't, just like your friend at KOMC, I can't imagine not being on the air. It'd be weird.
I know.
Yeah, it'd be weird because I've done it so many years every day of my life. And just for it to just evaporate, I think she's probably, well, this is her second time retiring. The first one didn't take. She came back about a year later. So we'll see if this one takes. But,
this being the case, and I'm going to bring it to your attention if you don't even know that the writing is on the wall. We're all going to retire.
Oh yeah, no, I know it.
We all do.
I know it. I know.
My wonderful grandmother, she kept telling me she was never going to die. She was gonna cheat death. She was a lovely lady, and it finally happened to her as well. And no matter who you are, you'll never get rid of it. You will never chase away from it. No. So retirement is inevitable. Yeah. You don't want to give it up. And that's not what we're talking about right now. I wanted to just give a shout out because we're nearing the end of the actual book itself.
Yeah, I know. 2 more chapters and then the finale, and then
no, don't say oblivion.
No. I just say we close the book.
We close the book.
Close the book.
That's my day with you today. I hope that a few of these things I've shared, and you know what? There are plenty of people out there telling you what to do with your lives and where to put your money or this or that. But I just know there are positives and negatives in all of them. Find your comfort zone and delve into a few different things. And as Tammy put it, you need multiple streams of income.
Oh, yes.
And is it easy? No. I repeat, no.
But you will share your secrets. And I want people to know this because, sometimes people give you advice. They say, do this, do that. And you're like, okay, but how, where, I don't know how to start. If you've gotten intrigued with the gold and silver concept, Rick will share the secret with you. And it's easy. Just go to mansionofdreams.net/wealth. There is a form to fill out. And Rick, you'll give him a call and tell him exactly how to get started because it's not hard. I'll give you a little bit
more information. I found my way. I found a wonderful way to live my life and for me to prosper beyond my magic. Once again, we bring up the title of the chapter, and I've gone beyond my magic. Some people, they just love to collect gold and silver. I do so. I have learned from some great people who've taught me what to do, how to buy it, where to buy it, where to store it, where to sell it. And that information can be provided to you as well.
Very easy to do. And if you didn't write that down, it's in the show notes for this episode. So it's right there along with a link to get the book. And I'm still saying get the book. If for no other reason, get the book for the pictures. They're gorgeous.
The pictures are awesome.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Tammy.
Yes, Rick.
Go get some rest.
Oh, well, that's a great idea, but I don't think so.
Because I got to go work for my money.
Yeah, exactly. I got people waiting. So, unfortunately.
My dear friends, thank you again for listening. It is a pleasure. I hope you realize that from the bottom of my heart. Giving my time to share my life with you has been wonderful for me. It really is, Tammy. Great thanks to you constantly. May all of you prosper in your life. May you follow your dreams. May you give back more than you get. And once again, thank you for being part of my life.
Thanks for joining us this week on Nothing Happens Until You Dream, starring Rick Thomas and featuring Tammy Trujillo, and is based on Rick Thomas's best-selling book, The Tiger Whisker, available on rickthomas.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out on Patreon for exclusive members-only content. Stay up to date with Rick and Tammy at nothinghappensUntilYouDream.com. Remember, you must follow your dreams, not only for yourself, but for the rest of our future. We'll see you on the next episode.